Hi guys, it's Arthur aka Starbucks CMDR and welcome to the next edition of our Star Wars Battlefront show. And this show is a little bit special because yesterday I went to sort of Star Wars trailers, I'm sure all the world saw yesterday, but today is Friday and it's also the day we're going to see the gameplay reveal. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what we know about Star Wars Battlefront because there has been some news, some leaks, blah blah blah. But also we're going to cut after I've done my spiel at the start and then we're going to record us watching Star Wars Battlefront gameplay as it's revealed to get our actual reactions. And I am incredibly excited. I know everyone else is. A couple of the devs from DICE have actually said today that their aim is to break the internet. So I think that can happen. I definitely think it can happen. Star Wars hype is real at the moment. So I can't see there being issues with them going for that one. So what do we know so far? Well, I'm going to say a couple of things. I can't not talk about the Star Wars trailer that was released yesterday. I was very lucky to win a competition and go to the IMAX theatre at the Empire Theatre in London's Leicester Square. And there was about, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 people in the cinema, all hardcore Star Wars fans. And we watched the Star Wars celebration live around the world. And the trailer came on. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And my emotions were high, okay? And when you hear Han Solo's voice for the first time, I welled up just a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. It's an incredible trailer, and I think if the film lives up to that trailer, which I think it will do, we're all in for a real treat. There is a reason I'm talking about the trailer as well. It links to the Battlefront. If you watched at the end of that trailer, they were advertising what else was going to happen during the Star Wars Celebration show. And on the left-hand side, you can still on the trailer now, so you can still go and watch it, and it'll be somewhere over here. You actually see some footage of Star Wars Battlefront. It's about 10 seconds. Not counted. It's about 10 seconds, and it's basically a battle going on in Endor. It looks like it's CGI, like an intro, but you do see some cool stuff. You see speeder bikes flying around. You see rebels shooting. You see an AT-AT walker walking through the forest moon of Endor. So anyone like me who watched the film was like, guys, what, these teddy bears are wiping you out. Where's that giant stompy thing? Where is it? You see it drop Luke off, but just nothing happens. But maybe we'll find out in the game. So that's there. So we can analyze that a little bit. I don't want to too much because I know like during the gameplay we're going to see today, something's going to happen. So that's pretty much the trailer in Star Wars. I'm excited. You can probably tell right now, today's the day when I see the footage, I'm excited. This video will probably be out a couple of days after because my editing's pretty rubbish. But today I'm excited. When I'm recording this right now, I am excited. So what other news have we got for Star Wars Battlefront? What have we known? Well, EA have launched a couple of new Twitter handles, which will be on the screen somewhere around here. So you've got like EA Star Wars, and there's an official Star Wars Battlefront Twitter handle, which you can all follow. And they've also been really cool on Instagram. And what they were doing on Instagram is they were linking various photos, a bit like catchphrase, kind of like catchphrase. And this photo was leading up to like a character reveal, which is it's been confirmed as an in-game asset, just rendered. And it's a stormtrooper, obviously, of the classic variety. He's holding, which is one of the long blasters. You can see the end of it. I think it's a DL-15. It might be a DL-35. I can't remember. It's one of the others, but it's in there. What's really cool and what's interesting to note is he has like a tube that leads from his helmet onto his backpack. And I was a bit confused what this could be. I was like, well, it could be an aqua trooper. I was like, nah, you wouldn't have aqua trooper, would you? You can find lasers underwater because I know it's science fantasy, but surely everyone knows lasers underwater. It's going to be messy, right? And then I thought maybe it's a zero-G trooper. Obviously, zero-G troopers are found obviously in space and on constructions, and they actually do feature in the original trilogy. They are in there really briefly, and I'll put a blog post up here. And when you see the Falcon flying, you see some stormtroopers walking around outside the Death Star, and they're actually zero-G troopers. And when you look at the models for these, they are incredibly similar to the model you see teased on the Instagram picture. So are we going to see some external space combat? Are we going to see some fighting on, I don't know, the Death Star itself or the outside Death Star or some sort of orbital platform? And are these guys going to make an appearance? And if so, what's the Rebel version of this? What's it going to look like? The original zero-G troopers from other games were a little bit OP. They were basically flying tanks. And if you read the novels, which are now legends, obviously, so it's not canon, these guys had like concussion missile launchers on their shoulders and stuff like that. And they were really nails to take down. So that's going to be, you know, I don't know. I'm hoping it's zero-G trooper, and I'm hoping it's just a variant of the standard stormtrooper. So that's one piece of news that we know. Second piece of news that's kind of come out, or not, well, isn't it leak? It's not a leak. It's that Star Wars Celebration, but it's really cool. It really excites me. And like, if you watch the previous shows, you'll know. They've got a thing at Anaheim which says Star Wars Battlefront, the X-Wing Experience. right? And there's a picture here somewhere there. Maybe, I don't know which side I'm putting myself and I edit this. Well, there's somewhere. There's a picture behind me, right? I don't know. What is that? What is the X-Wing Experience? I mean, Dice, come on now. Are you just teasing me? Are you gonna? Is this actually gonna be like an entire level, which is X-Wings and TIE fighters and Y-Wings and B-Wings and A-Wings and TIE interceptors and bombers and blah? If that's what it is, then basically my life is over because that's all I'm going to spend my time doing. I go on and on about X-Wing and TIE Fighter and how great those games were and how they're perfect for consoles and how the twin stick on a control pad works absolutely perfectly, and how I have been sad enough to sit down and actually work out how you could map the buttons to the various different controls on an X-Wing, TIE Fighter, blah, blah, blah. Also, I know I'm probably the only person, but I actually think the Kinect would work really well if you could actually talk to it as your R2 unit. I know I'm a nerd, but I think that'd be brilliant. So what is the X-Wing Experience at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim? Is it that, which I really hope it is, or is it something that's going to break my heart? Is it going to be like they've got a full-scale X-Wing which you can sit in and play Battlefront, and it's only there at Anaheim, which I'm kind of thinking it says experience, so I'm kind of thinking maybe it is a live-action thing, which will be really cool. Don't be wrong. I mean, the footage of that will be fantastic, and clearly, you know, they're not being sharp throwing some money at this sort of stuff. But yeah, is it that? I don't know. But X-Wing's there, and they're making a thing of it. The key thing to note about that is they're making a thing of X-Wing. So they know that people want space combat, space flight, da-da-da-da. So fingers crossed, 6:30 p.m. our time, we see something like that, the mic drop moment. What else have we got that's come out? So it's quite a lot, really, considering from this time to last year. The last 2-3 days have been like a hive of activity. Someone else has posted a picture of there's a giant screen at the Star Wars Anaheim, and it's got quite a bit in it. It has an X-Wing, it basically has rebels fighting the Imperials, and it's very reminiscent. It's kind of like a Hoth-esque scene. There's AT walkers, there's stormtroopers, there's rebels, there's X-Wings, there's TIE fighters. So you kind of get, it's all classic trilogy, bear in mind. None of this, you don't see any clones so far. We haven't seen any clones. We haven't seen anything from the new Star Wars film that's just been announced, Star Wars 7. So they're focusing heavily on classic, which is one thing to add, I suppose. But yeah, this is more indication that hopefully we're going to see a mixture between ground and air battles at the same time. Everyone wants ground to space. Everyone wants that to happen. Everyone wants there to be like a massive ground battle and then go into space. So hopefully this picture, which is somewhere on screen now, is indicative of that, and that is going to happen. Lastly, is it lastly? Well, two things. Before we cut to the live showing of me basically blowing my nerdgasm all over the screen, get your hankies ready for that one, is basically there's two things. One, they announced a timeline. If you read the books, when they are, as they are legends now, they had, because there were so many books and people were confused where obviously the various books sat in the timeline. They've redone that now for obviously the new canon, and obviously the new books like Tarkin and Aftermath are in this timeline. But what's interesting, when you look at it, there's also a reference to Battlefront. Now, this is the story, I'm assuming, or a novel based on the game. Now, EA have done this before. They did it with Battlefield 3, and the story followed very closely to the game itself, or was just before, just after. But very much the same sort of time frame as the game story. So what's interesting is this story for Battlefront is set directly after Episode 4, A New Hope. And before, so between 4 and 5, Empire Strikes Back. So is this an indication of where the single-player story will focus for the game? I'm fairly certain it's a very clear indication where it's going to sit. I think that's where the game's going to play around with. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. It's an area that's largely been untouched, and a lot of novels and stuff. And obviously, even if it has been, that counts anymore because it's all been thrown away, thrown in the bin. Doesn't mean anything at all. So that's interesting, right? So everyone's focused. I've been pretty much focused on the multiplayer, but the single player story has been so tightly under wraps, like so tightly under wraps, which means we're going to see some new stuff. We're going to see some cool stuff, because obviously if that's where the story's set, the stuff we know about Star Wars, like Hoth, might feature as the last part of that setting. Endor certainly won't if it's set between there. So there's going to be some stuff we haven't seen before, which is really, really cool. Lastly, if you're an Xbox fan, Xbox kind of accidentally, maybe on purpose, tweeted out that you'll see EA's Battlefront first on Xbox One. And no one's really clear what that means, whether it's exclusive to Xbox One. I doubt that. What I think it is basically Xbox One has EA access. And EA access gives you, I think it's 5 days prior to, if you subscribe, you get 5 days on the game before it's released. So I'm fairly certain that's all that means. So if you're a PlayStation fan, don't worry too much. I can't see EA ever turn around and say, you know what, one of the biggest games we've ever released in the last 20 years is ever going to be. 20 years is strong. A strong statement. Well, for me, that's going to be the case. So we don't know. So that's all we know. It's rushed. It's fast. I'm a little bit hyper. I've just had a big cup of coffee, which is probably why I'm speaking like a radio DJ on acid. Not advocating drugs, kids. It's bad for you. Yeah, I'm excited. So we're going to cut in a second, and I'm going to see. We come back live. What's live? It's recorded live as I watch it on here. I'll find some way of doing it. So I look at stage. I need to hold up a thing that says it's whatever time. So that's it. So that's part one, and we will see you very shortly for the gameplay reveal of Star Wars Battlefront. I am so excited. I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.